Hello, New York City Charter Schools. This is Tracy Davy, and I'm here to introduce you to a brand new report and a great feature. We want to ensure that you are reporting complete student daily attendance for the 22-23 school year. Actually, we've always supported that, but we have a new resource to help you do it. On our website, if you hover over resources, tap on templates, we now have 2 student daily attendance blank templates on our website. And this automated feature is new and wonderful. You're going to love it. Let's take a look at what it can do for you. So you're going to tap on it and download it. If you're having trouble downloading it, there's a couple things you might need to do to go up. I'm using Chrome, but I needed to myself at my own agency tell my computer that they can trust ESBOCES to download, allow downloads and pop-ups, redirects on the screen. If you're not able to do that, you could check with your tech team to see if they can help you. And one other possibility would be to copy the link. I'm going to copy the link. I'm going to open a new page because there's no longer a pop-up or redirect because I'm going directly to that web address. And if you saw in this lower left-hand corner, it downloaded immediately. Okay, so let's open that up. The new Excel file is just one worksheet and many new functions. At the top left-hand corner here, you need to first select your school. And available in the dropdown. Before, you couldn't do this either. I'm just going to start typing in SA for sample. And then enter. I'm able to view here and confirm. You'll be able to see the DBN number, that 84 number that you all recognize, to ensure that you have your correct school, and say submit. Your school name would show at the top. Also in the upper left-hand corner here, we have some helpful hints. You will see our phone number and our email address. You can tap here to go back to our website for instructions on our website in that resources, training materials section. You can tap here to go directly to level 0 or send us a help desk ticket. Hit the wrong button to close that. So what we're going to need, this allows you to import data and to create the CSV with just 2 taps on 2 different buttons. Let's hop over to level 0 software. I believe it's this one. I am in the background. You don't recognize it. This is just a training database using sample data. So I already reported some data at my sample school. Let me make this a little bigger and easier to see. On the dashboard here, we can see the total count of records previously reported. And when I did my last import, I had 18 errors, but I cleaned those up already. You can see there's no errors in either in the import field, so I don't have to worry about it. I want to get to the report screen for student daily attendance, and there's 2 ways to get there. You can either tap on that title for student daily attendance right here, or hover over reports and tap on student daily attendance. When I'm on the home screen, I like to just get there this way. There are multiple different reports that you can choose here, and we want to help you become more familiar with the missing report. You'll see that as you're reporting attendance during the school year, you could check each individual month, and we recommend that. But now at the end of the school year with this new Excel file, we want to ensure that we're checking all data for the current school year. When you run this, it warns you right away that it could be time consuming. So it might be best to run it first thing in the morning or late in the day. Now, there's a lot of important information on this screen. I have been told by level 0 now that I have 712 missing attendance records. This means that students were enrolled at my school on days when the calendar said that there was instruction. So you can peruse around this information. If the lists were longer, and I've seen schools with thousands of missing records, you would see multiple pages lined up along here to jump around pages. Again, it might pay to look at that because you may realize, oh, we weren't really open on October 24th, and you need to update your day calendar. So take a look around and get familiar with what was missing. And be sure to look at the highlighted yellow date. This is warning me that I have not loaded attendance. The last date for a student attendance record was April 26th. So it's not going to project beyond that date. I got to load some data for other days before it will look for that, for any missing records on those dates. So right now, between the opening of school, October 24th, and April 26th, I missed 716 records for this school. Right here is a download function. You're going to grab this file. Mine is opening here in, this is Notepad++. Watch where you save the data. I'm going to save it as a file on our K drive. Okay, I created a file under Student Daily Attendance Training Materials called Sample School. I'm going to have a very specific file for data that needs to be imported. I'm grabbing these missing records from level 0, going to keep that title and save that data. Now I'm going to go back to our Excel file, and I want to import that data. It's letting me know that it's going to be, this file is set to use that Student Daily Attendance missing report. I need to find the folder where I put it. As you can see, I had to build a whole fake school. And it's the one that I just pulled down now. So at 5:02, right here. I actually am recording this for the 3rd time. This will be correct. Okay, I now see that there were 712 records in level 0, and all 712 records have imported into this file. And I can close that pop-up and get to work. The data here appears exactly as it was in level 0 and in that CSV file. It's actually sorted alphabetically, and this is, the technical sorting of numbers. Name by date. You'll see your students' OSIS numbers, and we're showing you the grade in case, or if we want to sort your data by grade to be able to evaluate it and determine how to report it. On my keyboard, I'm holding the Control and Shift key at the same time, and I'm going to scooch down to the bottom. You can see that it's actually line 714 here because there's some directions at the top, and I can change the sort. I'm right-clicking on my mouse. I'm sorry, I've never used a Mac. I'm sure there's an equivalent to that. I actually have the ability to delete rows. I need to get that higher on the screen. That's the only one it's showing me right now, but we recommend using different functions right here. On the data tab, I'm able to sort my data. That's actually what I want to do at this point. I can change and sort it by grade level, by first or last name. I could change, that order, whatever I want. And in case you haven't done this before, you could even move which item comes first. So let me sort it this way. So I see one kiddo and all their dates in a row. This might be the easiest and best way to sort your data to ensure that as you look at a student's attendance, you're flagging what days they were personally absent, suspended, or tardy. I just realized when I did that sort, I'd accidentally said that I had a header, so it kept that first record first. I'm just going to shut that off and run it again. And now it'll sort everything, and that one kiddo has all the records right from the top. Reporting your attendance codes attendance codes is not personally identifiable information. That's the stuff you imported from level 0 yourself. But we have pre-populated this worksheet with your school's student daily attendance codes. I have added 2 unique codes to this sample school. Because we aren't doing any present out of school in our software system, so supposedly, I created just a simple P for present, and then I have T for tardy. So let me pick present, and you'll notice that the modality column is now highlighted to remind me that whenever a student is present in school, whether it's the custom or state code as reported in level 0, I do need to report based on what it is in level 0, I'll need to report a modality. So students, the average attendance for a school is usually the high 80s to high 90% daily attendance rate. So for 712 records, if our attendance rate is about 93%, then I can expect to have 7 records for every 100, which would then be 21 records that I need to update as being negative attendance, because most students are present. If your school had been present in person for the entire year, you can highlight those codes, do the right click or the equivalent on a Mac, and now I can copy those attendance codes all the way down. So now 795 records are close to being done. I need to go find where those absences were and where there was a suspension. For simplicity, I'm going to pretend that my first student here was actually suspended on, let's see, we would have been, actually, I want to address this one. Some students, you may notice, they have as the codes change, if they're only missing attendance records happen to be around the time that ATS is just opening, and from date prior to ATS opening when your school was open, you may find that you will recognize names for students that you expected to return to your school from the previous school year that did not come back. Because they were enrolled and because ATS did not move them to their new school yet, while your building had days of instruction, prior to ATS opening, your school is expected to report attendance records for them. So in that regard, those would be the records that you need to change to absent. You can use either excused or unexcused. In the state's eyes, an absence is an absence, but they recognize that you might report them 2 different ways, and they'll take the data however you report it. While PEBT, actually, COVID was active during a portion of this current school year, if there are going to be any additional PEBT funds, they would only be awarded for students who have a certain number of consecutive excused absences from school. Then you could update your data. There's no requirement for a modality for students when they're absent because they didn't receive instruction in one method or another. And then you could fix that section of the student. Right here, because I didn't use the right-click copy for paste, I need to tell it to copy that field and not increase it alphabetically. So you're going to do that for all the students who need it. All right, let me find a student who's in the school. You'll notice a lot of these are those dates in September in different parts of the year. Student 231 was in the school at different times during the year. We missed some attendance in the beginning of September and then in April. Let's say that this date in April is when they were suspended for 1 day. I can, whenever a student was suspended, they must have 2 student daily attendance records on the same day. You must first report that they were suspended either in school or out of school, and whether or not they attended school and got instruction on that day. So I'm going to duplicate this one student 1 time because they only had 1 suspension on that day. If I knew that these 3 days in a row were suspensions, then I would change this to 3 and say, okay, now I need to copy those dates. I need 4/7/23. Notice that I put it in with slashes. The whole column is formatted to show this correctly, so you didn't have to worry about it. I meant to type 17 at 7. I am the world's worst typist. So now for 18/23 and for 19/23. Okay. So on these days, our student had in-school suspension. I can just type an I in that field and it'll come down, or else I could have copied it. No modality is required because all we're saying is that the student was suspended. So they're suspended for in-school and expected to be in school. So maybe in the in-school room, they misbehaved on the 2nd day and was sent home, and suddenly that 3rd day, whoops, not present, but became an out-of-school suspension. So the student was assigned to be in school and they came into school. So you would now need that attendance record. So on the 17th, we're saying, yes, they were present for their assignment that day, and that was in person, they were in the building. Also on the 18th, right, they were in school, they showed up. If the student was also suspended on the 18th but didn't show up, then you would change that to an absence. We changed this so that the student was now suspended out of school. Now, this is a 6th grader, so it's possible that, especially if someone had a long suspension, there would be a requirement for instruction. It might be tutoring, it might be to an alternate location that's not, in a group with students who are just in school suspended, right? Like maybe you have a separate spot if they're out of school, but you need to have them in school because they're of compulsory school age. In that regard, consider what was their attendance, did they show up to that alternate site or not? And then just report that correctly. And you actually do not need to remove the modality, because on the import, level 0 knows to skip when a student is not present in and any kind of present code. Present in and present out is both getting instruction, and tardy in and tardy out is also getting instruction. So no modality is required, but if you leave it there, level 0 just skips that field on the import. When you are sure that you're done, actually, what happens if you're like, oh, it wasn't 231, it was their older sibling, and 233. You realize you could then highlight those different rows, right click and say delete the entire rows, and now you can go move the data to the other student. When you're finished, you're going to tap up here on the export to CSV. It's going to go back to the place where you saved this file, actually where you imported the other file from, right? Is looking at that data for import. You do not have to name it. You are just choosing the folder. I'll say okay, and in a few moments, you'll see that this will be done, and I'm ready to jump back to level 0 and import my data. I'm so confident in it being done. There it is, almost completed. Back in level 0, you do electronic import. Choose your student daily attendance. We're going to choose the file. So let's see the right spot. Sample data, I need the ones for import. And these are date and time stamped. So it's in military time. This is the latest one at 5:13. So I'll just choose that file, tell it to open. When you're on the screen at level 0, so the first step, hit that first one to prep the data. So now you're ready to go. You're ready to say, okay, level 0, evaluate it and import the data. When you're at this step, if this little bar is red and telling you not available, then just wait a second. Someone else is loading the data. Only one person in level 0 can import student daily attendance at a time, because the files could be huge. They might be 200,000 records or more. They might be 200 records, right? It could be any size. Anyway, level 0 focuses on one import at a time. As soon as it turns green, it's your turn and you can import the data. Please be aware that I mean that literally one person. There are 275 charter schools in New York City, 3 full-time staff members here at ES BOCES. So if I'm doing it for another school helping them, it's going to be busy for a few seconds, and then you'll see the light come back to green. Grab your turn and it's done. And that's all you need to do. The reason that my data has an error is because I don't have a valid DBN to import the data correctly. We have tested this in our sample database with an actual school and it works perfectly. That's how easy this is. We expect to help you with other templates in the future that will be automated and make your work easier than ever before. One more place to check your data. When you're done in level 0 importing the data, always, always, always go to the L1 data prep, go to your student daily attendance, and be sure to validate your data. And of course, it's telling me I cannot. And then you have to create the file. Your data is safe in level 0, but it doesn't move to level 1 until you lock it. That's what we call this part, locking it, so that it flows up to level 1 in our data warehouse for transfer to the city, and they will submit it to the state education department. On our website, again, if you hover over reports, we have an on-screen report. The staff and student accountability area is very helpful. If you haven't looked at it, my team and I live out here all day long to look at information and see which schools might be behind on their reporting. And you will see these are only counts of records. There's no personally identifiable information, but all schools are listed here. It's a way for you to verify that data that you've saved in level 0 is in our level 1 for transfer to the city for L2RPT. We've added a comment, entire column recently over the last year, so that you can see what percentage of your attendance data has been reported. Some schools might have just gotten started loading their files. Other schools are really close to being done. I saw a 99.91. Awesome. Well, that's 98. All right, I guess I need glasses. Anyway, this will help you. Stay in touch with us if you need help. We mean it literally. That's why the information was right in that file, to call us or email us for help, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thank you.